Okay, it looks like everyone has started to jump on here, but we will get started in the essence of time. So, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We're very excited to have you here for Luxon's NetSuite demonstration for wireless companies. So, first off, I want to introduce you to the team that we have on the call here today. So, first up, we have Cheryl Hoff, our VP of Customer Success here at Luxon. Cheryl brings 30 plus years of ERP experience and has an incredible background and experience with the wireless community. So you guys are in great hands today. And she works very closely with a lot of the wireless customers that we do work with here at Luxent. Next up, we're joined by Katrina Sandgren, our Director of Sales here at Luxent. Katrina brings 20 plus years of experience with ERP, and she will be walking us through just kind of like what NetSuite is, the benefits of NetSuite, and then closing us out with some pricing and packaging. So you guys have a full understanding of the full picture of NetSuite. And then finally, myself, Brooke Geibus, I'm the marketing director here at Luxent, and I work closely with wireless teams and all teams here to kind of share the success and growth that they have had on NetSuite and Luxent. So today's demo is really about showing you just a kind of a glimpse of how NetSuite works for wireless companies. So what it looks like from a day-to-day, how it supports your growth, and where it can really help to simplify your operations as you grow and scale. So let's jump right into it. Okay, so before we dive in, I'm just going to kind of quickly go through what we'll be covering today. So we'll start with a brief introduction to Luxent, who we are, why we're really focusing on wireless companies. Then we'll walk through how NetSuite sets up wireless companies to really be wired for growth, pun intended. From there, Cheryl will lead us in a live demo of NetSuite, so you guys get to really see the application in action, see how it works, working in practice, highlighting some of the functionality that really means the most to the wireless community and how it kind of lends itself to best practices. So after the demo, Katrina will walk us through pricing and packaging, so you have a full and clear understanding of how NetSuite pricing is structured and how the model is built out. And then we will wrap up with some next steps and what typically comes after the session. So if you're looking to schedule some time with the team to really get a full understanding of how the system works. Before we really jump into the first part of things here, if you do have a question as we move throughout the demo, please put your question in the Q&A panel. I believe it's at the bottom of your screen. We will do our best to get to those questions as we kind of move throughout the presentation here or at the end of the presentation. And if we do not get to the question, we will follow up with a one-on-one answer. So first up, I wanted to talk a little bit about who Luxon is. So we're a premier NetSuite solution partner. We were founded in 2009 and we're based in Southern California. Our focus is really working with growing companies, and we have a deep experience across manufacturing, distribution, and a really heavy focus in the wireless community. Our team is made up of senior level consultants with strong NetSuite and industry specific backgrounds. So that's very, very important to you and your teams. We support the full life cycle of NetSuite. So we can help teams with the selection and purchasing of NetSuite. We can act as a person on your behalf to kind of negotiate that contract for you. We then work with you on the implementation and any sort of integrations necessary, as well as development work. And then we help your teams with any sort of ongoing support. Because of that experience, we're really able to kind of bring some practical insights into how NetSuite fits into your broader tech stack. We're not just focused on like how NetSuite is working for your company, but how does it connect to your company as a whole and how your company can use that on a day-to-day basis. So a little bit about how we work with wireless companies. So we've spent over 15 years working specifically with wireless companies, which has allowed us to really build a deep industry expertise built with proven best practices. We're recognized by NetSuite as a leading wireless partner. So not just for knowing the actual software, but for understanding the complex operations of wireless companies. And we bring to the table a lot of pre-built solutions and playbooks. So how that helps you is, we've designed these different playbooks and solutions to kind of help reduce, the customization that's necessary, lowers your risk, and it accelerates your time to go live when you guys select and purchase NetSuite. And most importantly, we act as your long-term partner. So we're focused on supporting your teams well beyond just the initial implementation of NetSuite. So we're here for your whole life cycle within the NetSuite ecosystem. Okay, so that's enough from me. I'm going to pass it over to Katrina to give you a little bit more insight into how NetSuite functions.
Great. Thanks, Brooke. You want to
Sorry
go to
about
the
that.
next slide? There you go. All right. Okay, so NetSuite is the number one cloud ERP solution on the market today. It is the very first and the original ERP to be built on the cloud, dating back to 1998. What that tells us is NetSuite was always created and built for the cloud. The infrastructure was done so to, again, always be ready and able for the cloud, giving pretty much everybody a jump start for the industry here, and again remains to be a leader. NetSuite has over 43,000 customers worldwide, so you can know you're in good company when you choose to move forward with NetSuite. And NetSuite is a international solution as well in over 219 companies throughout the world. So if that is something that's on your strategy, growing and expanding internationally, NetSuite can certainly support that. NetSuite is always working on innovation and growing and adding to the product. One of the really nice things about NetSuite is you'll always, at twice a year, they do releases of new features and functionality, and it automatically gets deployed to your environment. So all of their clients stay on the latest and greatest version of NetSuite. Some can, if you're on legacy systems, you might know the pains of being stuck on an old version, and then the pain that is for upgrading. It happens just very seamlessly and easy that you don't even know what's going on through that integration, implementation, and moving over process. But it also, as I mentioned, is being a cloud-based solution. There is no servers and infrastructure that you have to worry about. That's all maintained and handled by NetSuite. You can go ahead and move forward. Okay, yeah, NetSuite is a full ERP suite, and that will give your organization everything you need to grow and scale your business. It is on a single unified platform, which provides you real-time information across all your different areas of business. So you aren't worrying about passing data from one system to another, and your accounting department, your operations, and your sales team, everybody is on the same system, seeing the exact same information, and you have one single source of truth. NetSuite is modularized, so you can add those different modules as you need it, but you always have that ability to grow and expand beyond what you have today. And whatever your needs are, it can accommodate those at that time. NetSuite is also leading the charge when it comes to AI. And later this year, they will be releasing NetSuite Next and Ask Oracle, which is the AI platform built within NetSuite. And this will allow you to utilize AI capabilities in your daily tasks, making your teams even more efficient as they go about their days. So at the end of the day, you can provide your customers with the best experience possible by utilizing a platform like NetSuite. And you can go ahead. All right, with that, we're going to turn it over to Cheryl for a few minutes.
All right. All right. So NetSuite. So Katrina just showed a very expansive slide there with all of the pieces that go into NetSuite. So at the heart of it, NetSuite handles financials, your inventory management, if you have that, order transactions, accounting. So for the wireless space, that's your hub. That's your core application. And around it, we have applications, and we will configure those to meet your business needs. So in the wireless community, in your business, you really operate, the way I think of it, 5 separate, business models, if you will. You sell some equipment potentially, you do project work, engineering time, you have field service, with your contracts management. You're supporting the products that you built after you built them, and that's where the contracts management comes into play. And you actually have to go service that, either a planned maintenance or break fix type of activity. You're managing what equipment you have there. So within the NetSuite core, we have the additional capabilities that are configured specifically for the wireless community to facilitate those businesses, those different kind of business uh, operations, if you will. Again, projects and project buildouts are very different than a break fix operation and a contract solution, as well as some companies we've found in the wireless community, most have also a rental lease solution. So you may rent out your equipment for a customer, and then they're going to give it back to you. So how do you handle that in and out of that equipment? How do you keep track of it? How do you know when to bill? So we have a solution for that. Um, Integrated with NetSuite is time capture, but for your business, time capture is very important. How much time did I spend on that ticket? Is it bill or not? Goes in hand with your contracts management, with your field service. And oh, by the way, your time capture is how you do that, how you measure it. So we have project time, project resource time, you have field tech time, you have engineering time, all kind of goes together. And depending on the transaction or the business, a part of the business you're operating in, that's configured slightly differently. So that's what we're going to show you a little bit today. I'm going to give you a demo, a taste of what NetSuite can do. I would love to spend hours with you, but I only have about a half an hour to show you some of the core capability within NetSuite. So today I won't be able to show you too much of I won't be able to show this field service, but I will show you where that ties in. All right. So why do wireless companies and leaders choose NetSuite? So historically, you have operated, the companies that we've worked with have bought best in breed packages to support parts of your business, or have gone without and use Excel. That's very common. However, NetSuite will give you one platform. Like I said, all those different operations that you have can be supported by one application, NetSuite. They look slightly different based on the business operation that you are performing, but at the end of the day, it's all NetSuite. It's all there. So there's no, I got to get data from one system to go figure out what happened over here. Am I profitable on my contracts? I got to go pull my time data from my field service application. So again, real-time reporting, it's all there. Everybody's working on the same application. So that goes to single source of truth. Again, sales is looking at the same data that finance is looking at, that operations is looking at, that your field service guys are looking at. It's all within the same database. Everyone can access it. Obviously, there's permissions and the like built on top, but no more passing manual quotes to somebody and go, yeah, that's what I sold. No, it's all in the system. The platform is intended to be adaptable to your role and what you have to perform, and making it easier for adoption, easier for navigation, easy to understand. What do I need to do? What's on my plate for today? So that's the platform, and NetSuite continues to kind of enhance that. As Katrina said, there's some new stuff coming in with AI that's supposed to that will facilitate that, as well as some of the tailoring of the forms. So they're working on that, and that continually evolves with their releases. Open architecture. So NetSuite as its core, it's a database, but it plays very nicely with other applications. NetSuite has a very full ecosystem around it, so it knows it doesn't do everything perfectly. So there are applications out in the space that you can connect to very readily with NetSuite with their open APIs. The bottom line is, if all of my data is in the same place, all of my people know what is going on with a particular project, order, customer, then you're all working as a team, and you mitigate the back and forth, and that just optimizes and makes your operation more efficient. So, and we've seen that, we've heard from our customers that they have been able to increase their revenue without increasing their headcount. So once going live with NetSuite, they didn't have to. People retired, people had babies, and they didn't have to replace them, and they were still able to continue and grow. So that just speaks to, once you get a platform in place that supports your people their operation, then you can be more efficient. So that's hopefully we'll be able to show you a little bit today on how this works. All right. So let me make sure. All right, I got to share my screen some here. Oh, there's an agenda. Sorry. Are you going to share me? Brooke, I got to share me. Sorry. I got to set the share button. Yeah.
Yes, I will stop
Next one.
sharing so you can share.
Okay. All right, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to go through so sorry, bring that back. So I'm going to walk through in the demo here, just overall user experience. What does NetSuite look like? How do you navigate a little bit? What do you have access to as a user? Then I'm going to go to show you some existing transactions. So an opportunity to quote, how that works, and then quote to order, how that the quote to order process works. What can you see? What data can you get related to those transactions? And then I'm going to show you some projects because projects is a big deal, big component of wireless companies' book of business projects. How do I manage them? How do I know I'm on time? What tasks do I have to manage to? I also have field service people typically on a project that I have to dispatch out to go do something. So I'm going to show you a little bit of that. Again, I'm going to give you a taste. I'm not going to be able to do justice to everything, but I'm going to give you just a little bit of a taste of that. And then we'll touch on some invoicing, and then I'm going to get to the other piece of the business is your reoccurring. You typically have reoccurring contract management. You are covering, supporting the equipment that you bought or not bought, they bought, right? And you're providing those services. So what does that look like in NetSuite? And then finally, I'm going to show you a rental lease order and transaction and how we manage that data. Okay, now I'm ready. Sorry about that. Okay. So you should be seeing my NetSuite.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Okay, so NetSuite this is the home page. This is my dashboard is what they call it. And NetSuite is user role based. So the transactions and the data that I have access to is defined by my role, how I'm, what function am I performing? And I'm logged in right now as a controller. So I get to see a lot of financials. This is of interest to me. It's NetSuite will then the dashboard is intended to be one-stop shopping. I can go wherever I need to be in NetSuite and find the data that I'm looking for. So these are called this is called a dashboard tile, and it again is just a quick link really to go into a report that is defined already defined. So then if I clicked on that, it's going to take me into a balance sheet report. So I don't have to go navigate for it. I can go look. I'm going to go look at it. I'm going to look at my numbers and I'm going to see. The nice thing, and this the NetSuite. So once I'm into a report, or there's another feature called Save Search, but regardless, I'm looking at the data. I can drill into those records directly from a report. Now, right now I'm looking at chart of accounts. I'm looking at my balance sheet. But if I click into this, let me just pick one of these, right? I will be able to see the detail that made up the sum of that balance sheet record. So you'll see a bunch of JEs. From here now, I can even click into the original source transaction, and if I need to research something, I can look at it. So you can get directly from the presentation layer down to the actual transaction without having to go navigate and hunt for stuff. So that's how it's designed. Again, my dashboard is intended to be, what do I need to get at what do I need to access in my role kind of on a day-to-day basis? Doesn't mean you're precluded and you have to just work from here. You have all these menu items. So NetSuite has menu items for you to get to the same type of data. So I can navigate from billing and I can go to sales and I can go create a sales an invoice from here. Again, these are intended to be shortcuts, if you will. Take the menu navigation out of play, but you can do it. Okay, so I have, these are all called portlets. And again, this is all standard. Again, look and feel, and this is how the presentation, how NetSuite's user interface works. So I have a thing called reminders over here, and this is really just kind of my to-do list. Per my role, I have my to-do list defined in the background, and these are clickable save searches is what they are, but they take you to the drill down of the detail. So I don't have to go find it. And these are things that you define are important to that role. And so they're front and center. And these, again, action items to-do list is how I think about these. So you can see I've got some invoices that are old. I got to go chase that down and go talk to somebody. I have more that are overdue, but not really as bad overdue. I have some new vendors I have to set up. I have some periods to close. This is bad. So I'm 41. I have 41 periods open, but you get the idea. So this is again intended to be easy access. What's going on in my system? What do I need to pay attention to? Um, Again, down here, then we have some KPI meters. You can set these up specifically. What am I interested in? And it's a graphical presentation of the data. And then KPIs. So this is usually very, very important. And these are defined. NetSuite comes with standard KPIs. So what they think you should be looking at, which are pretty good, usually very good. But you can also create your own. If there are specific statistics, specific metrics, you can create your own KPI. And the idea is a comparison. KPI is a comparison from what did I do from one period to the next. So you can see my sales. This is measuring this month to last month. How am I doing from current month to previous month? So I'm up 60 points. That's pretty good. So again, these are all built with the data that exists in your one NetSuite. You don't have to pull it from other places. It's all within your NetSuite, and then it bubbles up into these reports. So you can review and then make some business decisions on what is happening with your operation. All right, so again, lots of fancy ways to present data. It depends on what you like. And again, all configured when you implement NetSuite. All right. So now I'm gonna switch roles. I have a few. So you can, and that is sometimes a common question, do I only get one role? If it's a small company and you do lots of things, depending on the implementation, the business decision might be, hey, I don't need that much segregation of duty and I can have one role. Typically not. Typically there is a financial cutover from operations, segregation of duties. So, but you may play two hats at a small company and you may perform different duties. So the roles give you the ability to have the tailor to the one role and then come back to another one. But for my purpose, I'm trying to show you different features. So I'm going to go into my sales role and show you a little bit about the transactions themselves within NetSuite that make up the data we just saw. So the sales trend, and we have it again. So I have the same KPI on this board. I have different reminders. Again, it's going to be tailored to the role and what is of interest, should be of interest to this salesperson. So I have created some data just so we can look at it. And I'm going to drill into my opportunities to close just to show you. Again, same thing, drill down. But I have an opportunity in here that is actually mine. And I'm going to open it up, and I know it's this one. Oops. I just did normal NetSuite. Let's just see. I clicked through the customer. So one of the things here in NetSuite too is these are all hot links. If I click this should have taken me to a customer record, which I did. And so it did. It took, user interface, lesson 1. So everything's hot link. So I clicked the customer and it took me to my customer related to my op. So I'm going to go do that again. Oops. I'm going to go back to my thing. But you can get, and it's intended to do that. It's intended to be able to navigate from what you're on to something else without going to find it. Oh, I have to go search for it. Nope. I can just click into it and I can get right there. So all the master data is related, and typically you can navigate from one master record to another. And in this case, my master record is my opportunity, that's my transaction, and my customer. In NetSuite, I don't know how other applications work, but in NetSuite, you always have a customer or a vendor or an employee. You have an entity related to a transaction. In this case, I'm going to be selling to global information, and I'm going to build out a tower. I'm going to build out a new tower for them. And so there's the customer is the primary key. Every transaction has a unique ID. I'm opportunity number 47, but your opportunity. So you'll be able to see that these transactions have a status. Where am I in the life cycle? So an opportunity will have a status, an order will have a status, an invoice will have a status, and I'm sure most ERP applications do that. So but this is my opportunity, and I know it's at a proposal stage, and I've got a waiting. So these are all configurable. Again, that gives you your forecast. That gives you your roll up. What is my sales? What's my potential? Do I have in the business right now? So my opportunity, I went ahead and added my specific items that I'm selling to global. I'm going to sell some services with a tower climb. I'm going to sell some equipment. This is not a real order, by the way, but I'm going to sell an antenna and some software with it. I've got some project miscellaneous parts I know I'm going to need while I'm in there, and I'm going to do some work on configuring to get this thing up and going. Now, from here, NetSuite's CRM lifecycle is opportunity to quote to order. You don't have to do that. You can go order opportunities to straight to sales order if you don't have a formal proposal stage with a quote. But that's what the quote is going to do, is it's going to give you kind of that formal opportunity. You can put more language on it that you're going to sign this document. You can typically, there are other applications that again sit on top of NetSuite that allow electronic signature, for instance, all of that. But each of these documents will have a printed format that you can print and you can email to your customers again for signature. This is what you're buying from me, Mr. Customer. So PDF is the format that the documents get generated in with NetSuite. Again, you can email. We don't see people, faxing anymore, but it'll just spin out the PDF. This one's not so fancy. Usually we'll have PDF logos and whatnot on here. So apologies for that. All right, so I have a quote now, and again, depending on your process. Now my quote is sitting here. I'm working on my quote. It transacted from my opportunity. I didn't have to re-enter anything. It's just going to come in and generate a quote. And now this is a different object. It has a different sense of the transaction. It has different statuses. In this case, this one has the same statuses, but they can be different. It will tell you how this came in. It's going to tie directly to my opportunity. You don't have to hook it. So the beauty of that is you now have your chain. I went from opportunity to quote to order, right? But it's all in the same system. You don't have to wonder where it came from. How long did it take you? And you can measure that. How long did it take me to go from opportunity to quote to order? You have a couple of choices here on your transaction. So Tower Global Information is going to buy from me. I sold it to them. Yep, they're ready to go. So I am going to then create a sales order from this quote. Again, all the data that I have on my quote will translate into my sales order. So I'm going to hit sales order, create sales order. And when it does this, NetSuite also has the ability to say, hey, this is a big deal. You need approval before we proceed. Typically, you're going to get approval from whatever internal operations that you need. Because this is, this customer is over the balance and this is a kind of a big deal. So there are some warning settings in NetSuite too. Are you sure? But again, sometimes you get approval on quote. And then sometimes people put checks also on the order side that says, hey, I need somebody to approve this, whether it's to look at, do we have parts? Can we schedule it? Whatever. But again, that's usually typically done prior to this. But you can see my order page just got loaded up. I know who my customer is, and it's generated from a quote. My line items are going to come in, and my opportunity is here. So everything came over from my quote. Now I'm going to save this. And in this case, this is a project order. So I did the hardest one of your hardest ones. I did a project order. So you see this project linked number 19 related to it, global information tower build. I actually created the project upfront in the quote stage because I knew we were going to need a project manager. We were going to need these tasks, right, related to the project. So you can create a project related with a sales order up at the quote time. You can do it ahead of time. That just facilitates planning. Really is all that does. If your business, is such a decision, obviously, decision to do that once it's sold or upfront. But if you do it at quoting stage, it will flow through to your order. Now, the project is kind of independent to-do list, and I'll show you that in a second. And I'm going to drill into that with a different project in my when I change hats to be a project manager. Because right now I'm a sales guy, and I am selling you. We're selling the deal, so I'm just trying to create my sales order. All right. I don't know why NetSuite's taking its little time. All right. Okay. So it was taking its little time because I have my sales order here, sales order 812, but it knows on my sales order that I have to go buy some stuff. And so it automatically, based on the definition of the item, it said, oh, I have to go procure some services or some equipment. In my case, I neglected that. It is a service I'm going to go buy. So I'm going to go back to my sales order. And so it will do this automatically based on the product and the item setup. So in my case, my configuration, I do believe, is from a third party. So my configuration is going to be done for a third party, and I knew that. So it's Cables R Us is performing my configuration services for me. So it knows I'm going to sell it for $3,000, and of course you're going to know what you're selling it for. And these again are fake numbers, but to what's in the market and what you can get the services for. But it will automatically create your purchase order for that. So then you're managing the purchase order. And if you imagine this is services, but it applies to equipment too. So if you are buying equipment for this order, because you're not stocking it, it's a big deal order, you're going to buy it for that order. Same practice applies. A PO will be generated or can be generated for that equipment to be purchased. And so then you're going to purchase that product for the sales order. So now I'm managing my purchasing folks and my receiving folks who are going to be managing, if this was equipment, when that hit in the door. When is it going to be available for me so that my project team can get started? Like services. So in this case, I did the PO to be a service because I wanted that cost to be accrued to my project. I know I'm paying an outside group to go perform that work. So I have a PO for the work rendered. They're going to line up their resources and they're going to get them so that they can work on my project. So this PO would be this. I have it configured to receive. Again, I'm a salesperson, so I can't do that. But it would be received in, and that's where your cogs are going to hit against your project, and then you're going to bill it out. So that's just some of the automation that will happen. So you don't have to, the folks creating the sales order. Of course, you're going to communicate with your purchasing department and all that, but you don't have to remember to go place that PO. It is directly tied, and the direct tie to that PO makes what's available and what my cost is directly tied to your sales order, which is important for projects. Let's see, right? So now I'm going to just click into my project real quick. So from here, I'm a salesperson, so I'm kind of done. My job is done. I sold the deal. Now operations gets to go deliver it, right? So I'm kind of done there, and I'm going to be now back to my board, and I'm going to go figure out who else I'm chasing, what other opportunity I'm working with. So I am going to go to my project manager role here, and we're going to look at projects. So just sorry to wrap that up. So I don't have all of the roles configured, but logically the next step is your team is going to work on this. So and I'm going to show you a different project here real quick. But as the milestones are met or the equipment is installed or their work is performed, then that sales order is going to be billed. Then you're going to invoice, bill it. You're going to collect payment, and the P&L is going to be attributed to that project. The costs and the revenue will be allocated or related to that project, so you can see how are we doing. Did we pitch did we estimate right? How are we doing? Again, gives you a mechanism to go back and go, okay, I've seen this story before, right? We pitched it this time. Can I improve next time because we went over a little bit? Or hey, we were spot on. So that's having projects and having that tied together is important for visibility and you to run your operation. So again, I'm logged in as a project manager, and I can navigate from my board, but I'm just going to go here and I'm going to bring up my project. So I'm going to bring it up in a new tab. So this is the other thing, NetSuite will allow, you can have multiple tabs. It's a browser-based application. I can have multiple windows going on, and that's very, very typical. I'm looking here, and then I'm going to go jump over some other places. So again, this dashboard has the things that are of interest to a project manager. So I've got something that says, hey, when is my milestones due? I look at new projects. I have a time entry to approve as a project manager. I'm going to approve time that's related to my project. If I need to enter time as the project manager, I could enter my own time. And then you have, the metrics. Again, what's my billing forecast? What's my billable hours? Again, geared towards a project manager. Under projects, real quick, just to touch on the AI component. So I'm going to show you a project P&L here in a second, but NetSuite also has built out some AI companions. So these are AI prompts. If you do connect your NetSuite with a Claude, it will have prompts here that will tell you how to construct them so that you can get better insights or more insights into your project. So you can see that they're building in these tool capabilities into NetSuite. So if I go to my project, so now I'm on a totally different customer. I just picked a different project, but I'm the Mark Collins is the project manager, and I'm looking at his project manager for Blue Pumpkin. I just switched gears. So this one is set up. And likewise, it's going to be, it was originated from a sales order. They knew this was a project. It was built out and intended to be a project. I have a team of people working on it, and it has a set of projects. So or tasks. NetSuite allows you or gives you the capability to predefine your projects. So you don't have to reinvent. If you're doing similar business, then you can basically do a quick project, like it says here in the name, and build out those tasks. That doesn't mean you have to stick with it. You can edit it and change it. It's just a way to facilitate getting the project details, the project tasks built in. So the project test looks like this. So I have a project, and this is what's happening with my project right now. This project started in April, and you can see I've got a lot of things completed. I had some planned work, and I actually did all my planned work. But I do have an outlier here on my project. I didn't get my equipment installed, so my project might be a little off. But you can see that I added this task to it, so you can see that it's open, but it gives you a status. So you can easily look and go, what's happening based on my plan. So your project, the tasks are built out, and you are estimating the amount of work to be done per task. And so this is planned work, and this is in hours. So this project setup is all based on labor. You can obviously have equipment. On my one order, I added equipment that's going to go into the P&L, but you're really managing the labor, whether that's your labor or somebody else's labor. What are you doing with this project? Here you can assign resources. So you will assign resources, and and then you would assign those resources to the tasks as well. If I click into this, that's probably not a good one. Go here. Then I can see that Alex and Abby are related to this project. Let me, I'm going to close that for a sec. Okay. So you have a lot of flexibility to go as deep as you want to go in the project. So it will, who are the people that are allocated? That gives you a resource allocation picture. I have Abby and Alex on 3 projects. Okay, where are they? How much time? But you can see that they had planned work, how much work, and with the resource, you can put a cost. So that's usually typically a burden cost on related to the person so that you can get a feel for P&L. So that's what's going to drive the labor P&L for this activity, this project. So you can see I have Alex has a $60. So if he works this 56, it's 3,600. Again, that's the cost side. You can put predecessors in here. So it's not Microsoft Project by any means. You can import Microsoft Project, by the way, into the template, but it gives you the ability to organize and set precedents, what needs to happen before you can set up milestones. So, it gives a pretty solid project management tool right within NetSuite. If I go to financial, this is just how am I going to build this? So there's some decisions and setup that is required on a project to get the calculations for the P&L here, but it does support it. And I'm going to go straight to the P&L tab. So this is where all of the details related to your sales order are going to come into here. What do I have for service revenue coming in and service costs? What do I have for other? This is my miscellaneous or costs, parts that I needed that they planned for, or yeah. And then this is my expense. This is my configuration person that I'm going to pay to do my work. So you can get a P&L for your project just based on the transactions that are in NetSuite related to your transaction, to your sales order. Okay, that thing that I clicked away is called drag and drop. So NetSuite keeps adding little widgets and tools, I like all them widgets, but to help facilitate what you do. So, normal, you're going to ask people to document. What did you do? Where am I? And you see down here, these are subtabs. They're called subtabs. I have a communication tab. This is where you can put project documentation files. This is what we did. This is how we configured it. So you can associate the documents to your project. This drag and drop feature says, hey, I can drag a document from my hard drive. It doesn't need to be a document. And I can just drag it to this little icon, drag and drop folder, and it's going to associate that document directly to my project. I don't have to click buttons, but so a drag and drop feature. So that's kind of handy. And then you can see all the documents related to the project by going here, but just facilitates. So there's a couple of cool things that NetSuite does, allows, and that's one of them, the drag and drop. All right, so now that's project management, and I'm probably on a time check. So now I'm going to do contracts. So again, I am operating, the key that we want to relay here is I am operating in a single instance of NetSuite, and I have different purviews to support your different business. So your projects group, the selling, your orders, account, invoicing and all. But now I am my contracts manager role. So that tower that we just built, I now have a maintenance contract with it. So now I have to support it. I have to know how long I have my agreement with, how long we are going to support them, how much they're going to pay, and when they're going to pay. So within NetSuite, it can be a contracts module that helps facilitate that. So that again, NetSuite will operate core principle. It will operate off of a transaction. In this case, again, it's a sales order that we created that sold them the maintenance contract. And so then the maintenance contract then has a life of its own. So this is my dashboard for my contracts person manager role. And so I have new widgets over here or new reminders. I actually am responsible for selling my maintenance contract. So I have a number in flight that I'm selling that are related to quotes. These are all related to contracts I have. So I have some contracts that I have invoices that aren't paid yet. So then I'll need to go talk to my friends, in finance and accounting to help me collect this. But so it's another reminder, another thing of interest, but it's specific to contracts. That's my purview. You can see I have a reminder for, do I have some renewals out there that I haven't taken action on? So one of the things with maintenance, contract maintenance is, okay, you sell it once, then, okay, now I have to remember to go follow up and I got to go sell it the next year. And I have to remember what they did and what we had covered and what my obligation was. The contracts module is going to facilitate all of that. Now, before I go there, here is in this dashboard, I have a new release pop-up. So as Katrina mentioned, every twice a year, NetSuite will um, do an application upgrade, the whole application. Now, they take input from all the user communities, their engineers, the whole bit. I wouldn't even attempt to explain how they prioritize, but they will do your releases. They also have a user conference every year with a whole bunch of what's coming up, training, and all that. So that's what this is. So they're reminding us, and they will push this to us, that Sweet World is coming up in October. So I just want to show you that, but they do have that, and Katrina might touch on that a little bit more too. All right. So again, my dashboard, I'm looking at how many invoices do I have? Again, metrics around my maintenance contract business. I'm going to go into my order now and just show you what this looks like. So in NetSuite, like I said, orders are foundational. Invoices are foundational. Your product is also your product master, your item master is foundational. It tells the system how to perform, how to behave or perform within the transactions themselves. So in this case, I have a sales order for Davidson Supplies that I sold them. Their maintenance contract, and so form looks slightly different, but the concept is the same. So again, I can have different forms to meet the different business operations that I'm in. So in this case, I'm selling them a contract and I'm selling them a maintenance contract. I didn't get too fancy on my item, but what I'm selling them for is a monthly maintenance contract. It goes from July 30th to next year, June 29th of 2026. So that's my first year. I didn't sell a multi-year. I can. I just set up a 12-year deal. So this is going to then be your contract, and it's going to be bill monthly. Out of this sale, when you sell this order and it's closed one, then a contract line specifically for this purchase is created. And so I can go straight to this contract. I'm going to cheat and I'm going to go straight to the contract and see. So this is the overall, how do I control my contracts with Davidson Supply? Do I get emails? When do I bill? All that. But each individual purchase is actually a contract line and has its life of its own. So I actually, Davidson Supplies also has a SaaS subscription from us for some software. This is a demo account, but and it has its own start and end dates, and this is active. But this will tell you the life cycle. So here's my maintenance contract line, and it starts, like I said, in June of last year to June of this year. Sorry, June of this year. So this one's ready to renew. So it's also going to be billed at the end of the month. So this application allows you to bill this contract line for the month without generating another order. You don't have to create an order. You don't have to remember where you are. It knows where it is. It knows what you sold, what the contract is about. It knows when it was last billed. It knows when its next bill is. It knows how much it is. And the beautiful thing of this is it tells you how much money, what's your value of your contract, what have you earned to date, and then when you renew it, it will tell you what was different from last year to this year. Are you making more money, or actually, have your price increased or not? Making more money is a different story. That's with how much services you provide against it. But you can get the trend on what the value of your contracts and what the value of your contract is for your customer. So from this contract line, I can see all of my invoices for the year. And again, I have one to bill, one remaining to bill before it either ends. Now, my job as a contracts manager is to go get this thing sold for the next year. I don't want it to end. We want to continue the services with them. So in this case, the decision was we're going to renew yearly or at the end of the term. I'm going to get a physical, confirmation from them that they want to continue the services and and no price changes. Now, typically you add and subtract equipment over the year in this space, so you probably want to adjust it. So I kind of planned ahead and I knew when I was talking to them the first year they were going to have a certain amount of equipment. And I know next year, this year, coming year, they're going to be a little bit bigger. So I've already built in an uplift, an automatic uplift for this new deal, this new period by 10%. So this opportunity was automatically generated. I didn't have to do it manually. It's automatically going to be generated based on the choosing your preference, how we have it set up. And it's going to generate an opportunity for you to go get the next deal, sell the deal. So my current price is 150 a month, and I'm bumping it at 165. So I can do that ahead of time if you know it, if you have that built into your contract. If I'm selling a 5-year deal and I can bump every 10 points every year, then you can build that in, and the system will automatically take care of that for you. I actually have a quote on this one already generated. Quote's going to look very similar. It's going to have the same details as my opportunity, but now I can convert this to an order. What this is going to do is going to replace my current contract line obligation, and the new one is going to pick up one day after the current end date. So now I have continuity of service. Typically, you will want to renew these early. You don't want to do it the day before or the 2 days before. You probably want to do it, 60, 90 days before, sell the deal, set you up for the next year. Then hey, I got to have parts, hey, I got to have people, right? And the planning on the technician side or your engineering side. So this operates just like everything else. So I'm going to just create an order. And I'm going to save it. And the same ties exist from how did I get here? And there's a whole bunch of fields on here. But now my start date is going to be 6/30/26 to 7/29/26. Or I'm sorry, 6/29/27. My next bill date is going to be 7/29 because I'm going to bill them for their month the next month or the month after we started. So again, all that math and date management is all handled by the system. Now, you may be asking about revenue, which I'm not even a touch on here. I'm going to wrap this up pretty quick. Is this application will then also recognize your revenue over your period of time. So you have a year contract, you're billing monthly. It's going to recognize the revenue monthly, and the revenue module within NetSuite will recognize that and work off of your contract line and adjust that and spread that revenue over the period of time. That's particularly more important if you sell annuals or prepaid quarterly contracts. So that's where that comes into play. So again, it's all tied into the same system, and you don't have to do Excel spreadsheets anymore. All right, I know I'm getting close. So I have one more thing to show, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, but again, to round this out is we have a rentals business. So this is a fun thing, also. So you may, again, sell equipment out to your customers for a short period of time. So you're going to give it to them. You're going to ship it to them. They're going to take ownership of it, but you were also expecting it to come back. So this module, again, will facilitate that and say, yep, I know I have RMA 34 out with my radio over here. And it's tied to a sales order. In this case, we call it a rental contract, but because that's what it's doing, that's how it's performing. And then from this this rental contract, I'm going to go into, oops, it knows how much equipment do I have? What did I sell it as for my rental rates? Did I send a daily rate, a monthly rate, a weekly rate? And how far out are they going to rent it? In my case, they're going to rent, in this case, they're going to rent it for 42 days, or it should be 62 days. My end date's wrong. But I know I'm going to have out the equipment for until 7/29. 7/29. So now you can plan for your inventory. Yep, I expect to get that radio or that equipment back in July. So you can plan ahead for stocking purposes, whatever. So this order will continue to bill on a monthly basis for the equipment that is out until the equipment is returned. So what do you say? Do they, if they keep it longer than their rental commitment, okay, you're going to keep billing for it until you get it in. Okay, what happens if they return the equipment early? Fine. You'll bring the equipment back in and you will bill them for the part of the prorated part of the time from the last bill to when they returned it. So this part of the application will support all of that. Again, you don't have to remember and keep track. The key is you're managing the equipment, and as long as you manage the equipment when it left and when it came back, and the contract, so it has the terms and how what I'm going to bill, then the system will take care of it. So I'm going to leave it there because I know I'm running out of time. I think it goes back to Brooke.
Thank you, Cheryl. That was a lot of great information here, and I know we are running out of time. So, if there's more that you want to see from NetSuite and how it pertains to the wireless industry, we are here to help, and you're able to select that in the survey that will pop up after this. But I'm going to pass it back to Katrina really quickly so she can really high level talk about some pricing information, and then we'll wrap up. All
Thanks,
right,
Brooke.
Katrina, take it away.
Great, thank you. And thank you, Cheryl. So much information. That's the great thing about NetSuite. There are so many things you can do, and we've only scratched the surface. So just talking a little bit about the way the NetSuite pricing is structured. Um, we have our base SKU, and that is what sets the foundation for where pricing starts. That is where you get like your core functionality with your financials and light inventory, CRM, and so forth. And then we'll take into account how many users you would have. There are different types of users, and they are priced a little bit differently depending on whether they need full access or whether maybe it's just something to view or approve only, and they don't need to actually do any transactions in the system. And we would certainly help you determine how those users would look for you guys and who would need access. And then you have your different modules that you can add on. And Cheryl talked about like project management and revenue management and field service. We can add all of those in there. And again, we don't have to have everything initially. We can phase it out to depending on what meets your needs best. And then the NetSuite has a bunch of industry additions that they might call your Suite Success food and beverage or Suite Success services and software and things of that nature. There is not one specifically for the wireless community, and that's where Luxent comes into play, where we have built our own solutions to help support your processes that like Cheryl was talking about with rental lease. And we've also done pre-configuration again that is aligning with your business requirements. And so that's how we will help you help you understand what the NetSuite licensing will look like. And then obviously NetSuite, it's a SaaS-based solution. So it is an annual licensing amount. And Luxent will work like Brooke was talking about initially. We're a solution provider, so we have the ability to sell the licensing and basically act as as that liaison between you and NetSuite and making sure that we get you the best contracts possible. We do all the negotiating and work on your discounts. And really, this is where we can add a lot of value for you and help you. We're focusing on this long-term partnership with you and want to make sure that we get you set up for not just now, but in the future with renewal caps, all those types of things that you might need. And then obviously there is the implementation component that would be what Luxent would be doing to implement the suite for you. And more than happy to sit down, have a conversation, understand a little bit more about your requirements and your organization, and help put together some budgetary numbers for you if you're planning for a project right now or into the future, whichever works best for you, but we can absolutely help you with that. So again, fill out the survey, let us know. We can set up some time following. And even if this was just scratching the surface. So if you need to see more, you want to see more of what NetSuite has to offer, we can do that as well. And Cheryl would be more than happy to dive even deeper for you.
Okay, I'm going to wrap us up here. We do not have time for questions and answers, so if you do have a question, please let us know. We can certainly address that one-on-one. So just quickly to wrap things up here, congratulations, you guys have completed the first step. You've attended one of our introductory demos. The next step is to schedule a 30-minute discovery and receive some budgetary pricing. So like we said in the survey that will pop up after this call today, you can select to have that to set up some time with us, and we'd be happy to do that with you guys. Then we can schedule a tailored demo for you and your team with Luxon's wireless communication team. Step 4, we can leverage our sales team to help negotiate the best contract possible for you and getting into NetSuite. And then step 5, buy NetSuite and get started on your ERP journey. So we hope to hear from you guys soon. We will be following up with a recording of this demo so you guys can refer back to it. But with that, we will conclude today's demo, and thank you all for joining. Have a great day.